This is Tambiraja Tharmadurai, better known as TT Durai. For years, he was the shining face of one of Singapore's most trusted charities, the National Kidney Foundation. He raised millions, filled auditoriums, turned fundraising into a national spectacle. To many, he was the man saving lives, the CEO who could do no wrong. But behind the applause, another story was taking shape. A CEO of a kidney charity installs a gold-plated tap in his private office bathroom, flies first class on donor money, and quietly collects a six-figure salary. For years, the deception held. The image sparkled, the donations flowed, until one article, one lawsuit, one crack in the facade, and the entire empire collapsed in 48 hours. This is the story of how a national hero became a symbol of betrayal, a dramatic rise, an even harder fall, and an ironic epilogue where his own son would later face criminal charges abroad, echoing the same shadows of greed that destroyed his father. Before we dive deeper into how Durai built his empire, here's how you can avoid getting played online. Because today, the biggest scams don't happen in boardrooms. They happen on your phone, your Wi-Fi, and your data. That's where NordVPN comes in. If you've ever used free cafe or airport Wi-Fi, you've basically exposed your passwords, banking, and browsing to anyone watching. NordVPN fixes that with one click, encrypting everything so scammers, trackers, and even your internet provider can't see a thing. And with phishing scams and data leaks rising in Singapore, this isn't paranoia, it's necessary. You get threat protection, fast servers worldwide, up to 10 devices protected, and a strict no logs policy. Use my link below to get NordVPN's holiday deal. 74% off plus 3 extra months free, bringing it to only around $3.89 a month. Link is in the description. It helps support the channel and keeps these documentaries alive. Our story begins with a young Durai who started out humbly as a volunteer. For 21 years, he worked with the National Kidney Foundation, NKF, a charity supporting dialysis patients, before finally rising to the position of CEO in 1992. Under his leadership, NKF's public image exploded. Its glitzy televised charity shows became national events, with local celebrities performing dramatic stunts to drive donations. And it worked. Millions poured in. NKF rapidly expanded its dialysis centers, and by the early 2000s, it was sitting on more than 260 million Singapore dollars in reserves. To Singaporeans, Durai looked like a miracle worker, someone who could turn every donated coin into hope for kidney patients. But behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding. NKF repeatedly warned that it had only 3 years of funds left, pushing Singaporeans to donate urgently. To reinforce that pressure, Durai let exaggerated patient numbers circulate, creating the impression that NKF was supporting far more people than it actually was. By inflating need and magnifying the crisis, Durai built a fundraising machine powered not by transparency, but by fear, urgency, and the unwavering trust of Singaporeans. Meanwhile, as donations poured in, Durai enjoyed a lifestyle that looked nothing like that of a charity leader. His pay package was astonishing, around 600,000 Singapore dollars a year at its peak, putting him on par with top corporate executives. He traveled in comfort, always seen seated in the first-class cabin of Singapore Airlines. At NKF's headquarters, he built himself what could only be described as a mini luxury suite, a private bathroom fitted with a gold-plated tap, an expensive German toilet bowl, and even a personal shower. Beyond that, he had access to 8 chauffeured cars, and NKF covered the taxes, repairs, and petrol for his personal Mercedes-Benz. And anyone who questioned it paid a price. Durai was quick to silence critics. Over the years, whistleblowers who commented on NKF squandering money or mentioned spotting him in first class found themselves slapped with defamation lawsuits. Many were forced to apologize publicly and pay damages. Even a woman who circulated an email about high bonuses was sued and made to settle. With NKF's resources behind him, Durai created a climate where no one dared to challenge him. Donations kept flowing, his public image stayed immaculate, and uncomfortable questions disappeared almost as quickly as they appeared. For a while, the illusion held. But one newspaper article would destroy his empire in just 48 hours. July 11, 2005, the day Durai's empire began to crack open. But the fuse had been lit more than a year earlier, in April 2004, when the Straits Times published 6 dangerous little lines about a gold-plated tap and luxury renovations inside NKF's headquarters. Durai could have ignored it, quietly replaced the tap, issued a statement, moved on. Instead, he went to war. He sued the newspaper and its journalists for 3.24 million Singapore dollars, using the same intimidation tactic that had worked for him for years. But this time, the lawsuit would destroy him. When the trial opened on July 11th, the courtroom was packed. Singaporeans expected Durai to crush another critic and walk out vindicated. What they got instead was a public unmasking. Under oath, with no escape hatch, Durai faced questions he couldn't dodge, and the secrets began spilling out. His salary, 25,000 Singapore dollars a month. His bonuses, 10 to 12 months every year. Over 3 years, he had quietly pocketed 1.8 million Singapore dollars, while donors faithfully sent in $10 a month, believing they were keeping kidney patients alive. Then came the lifestyle everyone had whispered about. The chauffeured cars, the personal Mercedes, the first-class flights he insisted were business-class equivalents. And yes, the gold-plated tap. Every rumor Singaporeans had dismissed as impossible suddenly stood confirmed by the man himself. But the real bombshell was still coming. NKF had long claimed it was always just 3 years from collapse if donations stopped. Yet on the stand, Durai admitted NKF had 262 million Singapore dollars sitting in its reserves, enough to run the charity for 3 decades, not 3 years. NKF also claimed to care for 3,000 patients. Under pressure, Durai revealed the truth. The real number was around 1,500. And when asked why he never corrected the lies, he gave the line that would haunt him forever. "I did not think it was of material importance." To donors, it was a shocking betrayal. The urgency, the numbers, the pleas for help, all part of an illusion. By the second day of the trial, Durai knew it was over. Midway through the proceedings, he abruptly dropped the lawsuit. No explanation, no apology, just surrender. By withdrawing, he effectively admitted the Straits Times report was true. The tap was real, the perks were real, the deception was real. Outside the courtroom, the fallout was immediate and explosive. Within 24 hours, 3,800 donors canceled their monthly contributions. Phone lines at NKF were jammed with furious callers. Someone spray-painted "liar" in red across the NKF signboard, an image that ricocheted across the island. And then came the comment that poured gasoline on the fire. Mrs. Tan Chu Leng, wife of then Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong and an NKF patron, tried to defend Durai's enormous pay. Her words, 600,000 Singapore dollars a year is peanuts. To a nation of taxi drivers, hawkers, nurses, and retirees who donated from their savings, peanuts wasn't just tone deaf, it was an insult. By July 14th, 3 days after the trial began, the crisis reached the government. An emergency meeting was held with the then Health Minister Khaw Boon Wan. The message was simple: resign or be removed. Durai and the entire NKF board stepped down that day. In 48 hours, the man who had ruled NKF for 13 years, who had silenced critics, dazzled the nation with blockbuster fundraisers, and lived with the perks of a corporate king, lost everything. His job, his reputation, his empire. But his resignation was not the end. The trial brought Durai down, but it didn't reveal everything. After he resigned, the government moved quickly, appointing Gerard E. to stabilize NKF and investigate the damage. By December 2005, KPMG released a 442-page audit that shocked the nation. NKF had claimed that 52 cents of every dollar went to patients, but in reality, only 10 cents did. The rest was swallowed by inflated salaries, aggressive fundraising, and Durai's luxuries. He spent 32,952 Singapore dollars a month on his corporate credit card, charged 70,000 Singapore dollars for a Las Vegas trip, and used 430,000 Singapore dollars on free concert tickets for donors. Staff pay skyrocketed. One director's salary jumped from 1,300 Singapore dollars to 12,500 Singapore dollars. NKF even covered Durai's wife Mercedes, petrol, repairs, insurance. And among the paperwork was a fake fake 20,000 Singapore dollars invoice for renovation work that was never done, quietly approved and paid out under Durai's watch. In April 2006, Durai was finally arrested. The new NKF board sued him and former directors for 12 million Singapore dollars, and Durai eventually agreed to repay 4 million Singapore dollars by selling his house. In 2007, he pleaded guilty to fraud and was sentenced to 3 months in jail, a punishment many felt was far too light. The once untouchable charity king was now a convicted criminal. Meanwhile, NKF was suddenly fighting for its life. Donations dried up, trust collapsed, and the new leadership cut costs, opened the books, and ended all flashy telethons. For years, the charity survived only on the reserves Durai had concealed. By 2011, trust slowly returned, and NKF rebuilt itself with a renewed focus on patience. But the story wasn't done yet. Just when Singapore thought the saga had ended, it took an unexpected turn. Nearly 20 years later, in November 2025, Singapore woke up to breaking news from the United States. Dev Ananth Durai, TT Durai's son, had been charged with insider trading and money laundering. At 39, Dev had allegedly joined an international crime ring trafficking confidential corporate information for illegal stock trades, moving millions across borders. He reportedly bragged about making six-figure profits on a single illicit deal. He is now a wanted fugitive. Singaporeans' reaction was immediate and unanimous, like father, like son. The elder Durai misused charity money meant for kidney patients. The younger Durai allegedly laundered money from insider trading. Different crimes, but the same unmistakable pattern.